Hi, that was an awkward hi. This is Kim. Welcome back to Fables, and in this video, I want to talk to you about, or kind of just like share with you and just riff and vlog about Way of the Panda Tarot and also about the book, mostly the guidebooks, the little black and white book on the inside the deck, and also the Book of Pandas, which is the official, like the big guidebook. Kind of just wanted to talk to you about the process. Kind of like mention this here and there on my Instagram and like going live and stuff, but I kind of just wanted to share with you my vision behind it, how I visualize the book, how I approach the book, what I wanted to, why I wanted to write the two books, and how it kind of eventually became. So for the little black and white book, it was more standard. I just wanted to I put the keywords in there for each card, and then also included some information about if this is your first time starting a tarot deck, starting on a tarot journey, what are the things you can do, what you can to kind of jumpstart someone, just like a little really quick, concise reference book. So that was more standard, but obviously I didn't just want it to be a standard little white book. It's just like, it's not just another book of boring keywords and description of the cards. I was just like so fed up with like every single deck coming, just it always comes with a book, and it's just like the same thing over and over. It's like I could have just found this on the internet, or I could have just read this in a different tarot book. I'm just so sick and tired of like seeing the same thing over and over. So I'm just like, okay, now that I'm a deck creator, I'm going to make it very unique. I'm just like, if you're buying a little booklet in the deck, like if you're gonna read it, then it's going to be because it's original, right? It's going to be because it's unique, it's worth reading, it's different. I don't want to just create another like the Fool card means this and then the Magician card means this. So I didn't want it to be like a standard. I really want to put I almost said paw print because I'm like talking about pandas. I just really want to put my handprint on it. I want to put my DNA on it, not in a gross way, but I just really want it to be unique, because it's independently published. It's not like a commercial mass market deck. It's really up close and personal. So I really want it to be very, very special. So for a little black and white book, like I said, it's more standard. It still has the keywords, but instead of like upright and reversed, I have light attributes and shadow attributes, the kind of attributes, and I explain a little bit in the beginning of the booklet of what this means, or you can just use light attributes for upright or shadow attributes for reversed or whatever. And also for each card included Panda messages, so they're kind of like cute quotes or sort of cute encapsulations of what this card is about or what the panda is doing. So from the beginning, I knew, like when I wrote the little booklet and the big book, I knew like I really want both of these books to be very story driven and character driven. I want it to be very whimsical and creative. So that was my intention. And like, okay, so that kind of meandered a little bit as well when it comes to the Book of Pandas, but I'll tell you that in a sec. But for the little black and white book, it was pretty straightforward. First few pages were kind of just introductions to the tarot world, and I wrote it as specifically and concisely and as me as I could. I really wanted it to be my perspective. I didn't want to just write another like general introductory tarot stuff that you can just read in any other little white book. I'm just like, if it's gonna be like the same, right? If you have the intention of like, okay, so maybe people don't really understand where you're coming from, you should just keep it as basic and general as possible. Then why the fuck are you writing the book? Sorry if you've ever done that or if you're doing that. I'm just like, well, if people are buying your deck and if they're gonna read your book, and especially you're an indie creator, you should just put your handprint on it. You should just do whatever the fuck you want and just write whatever the fuck you want. It's like, people have a phone, right? They can just Google if they really want to look into like how to read a tarot deck or how to get started with a tarot. They can just get it free online anyway. So it's like, if if they're not buying your words, if you're not buying your ideas, why the fuck are you, like that was kind of what I was thinking. I was just like, this is gonna be as original as fuck, and that brought me so much stress. I'm just like, after working on a Book of Pandas, I'm just like, I'm not working on a full-length guidebook ever again because it was so much work. The little booklet was concise and easy to do. but never again a full-length book. But yeah, so that was a little black and white book. Also included tarot spreads. I know, like, usually you just every single tarot deck, it's always like past, present, and future, Celtic cross, maybe the horseshoe. I don't know. I'm just like, it's the same thing over and over. There's like a little rant. I'm just like, I could find this on Pinterest. I can Google this. I don't want to be wasting paper. I don't want to just include basic stuff. And I want to be like, okay, if it's gonna be tarot spreads, it's gonna be my spreads, and it's gonna be panda theme. It's gonna be just panda, 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 right? You're buying We Have the Panda Tarot for the pandaness. Like, this is not just a deck with panda art on it. This is a deck with the panda spirit in it. So everything is panda. Like, literally everything is so panda. So that was my sort of self not induced, but like that was the obligation and sort of like honor that I want to do. I just really want to do good by this deck. Okay, I just want this to be such a unique panda universe that you're stepping into. When you're purchasing a deck, you're not just buying a panda themed deck, you're entering the kingdom of pandas. Which leads me to my next point: Book of Pandas. That book is really a portal into the kingdom of pandas. And originally, I wanted to write like a literary version of a tarot book. I wanted to talk about symbolism, how to interpret, how images come together, etc. I wanted to write it like a literary textbook, right? I was just like, this is going to be like very relevant. It's going to be really cool. So I actually wrote half of the book like that. Including sometimes behind the scenes, how I visualized the deck, how why I chose this image, why how did I come up with this idea, etc., how I worked with my artist, blah, blah, blah. So I actually wrote half of the book like that. And then it was just like becoming very hard to progress because I was just like, this is so fucking dry. And I'm just so, for one, I'm really tired of talking. I just grew so tired of just talking about me. I'm just like, do people really want to read like 200 pages of just me talking about me? Probably not. Maybe some people, but probably not all of you. But I'm just like, so sick of talking about me. Like, I want to talk more about the pandas. And I also want to include, I want to talk about panda as an archetype, like how you can really tap into the energy of this animal archetype and really receive the wisdom and love from the pandas. I want to include that too, but it wasn't working when I was just talking about symbolism, and it was too, and interpretation and stuff. It was too left brain. It was just like, this is so dry. Like, this is boring. I'm just like, this is gonna turn into like an English textbook. So I remember like I got to this point where I kind of just let go of the keyboard. It was like, pandas, please tell me, like, what do you want this book to be? What do you want this book to look like, to read like? What do you want the tone to be? What do you want the spirit of this book to be? And I kind of just rested for like a few days, and I came back, and it was clear that these pandas from each and every single card, they each have a story to tell, and they each have unique personalities. They have names, they are characters, they're residents in the kingdom of panda. And it just occurred to me that, I need to write this book like a story. I need to write this book from a very whimsical and fairy tale-esque and fable-esque angle. Duh, Fable stan. And I need to just hold space for that to happen. I just need to hold space and listen to the stories that come up, listen to the names that come up, listen to the archetypal sort of tales and narratives that come up. And I ended up just like rewriting the first half of the book. That was like a month and a half of my life gone. No, but okay, I needed to write that part of the book to arrive at the second part of the book, which was the right tone for the book. So yeah, like the whole time I was writing this guidebook, I was just thinking to myself, like, I am not going to write just another big fucking tarot reference book. It's like, oh, the Hermit card traditionally means this, and then on this card it means this. I'm just like, so boring. Like, okay, this is like a little randomized. Sorry, this is coming a little offensive because I know some of you who are watching might be also decorators and maybe aspiring decorators. So I'm really sorry if this is kind of like touching a nerve, but this is just a really strong belief of mine. I just believe that if I'm going to write a book, a guidebook for my own deck, it can't be a book that people can buy anywhere else, right? If you're just writing a book about definitions, I'm just like, how many books like that already exist out there are about tarot definitions. Like people don't even need to buy a book. People can just Google this stuff for free or take online courses or watch YouTubers talk about tarot cards or whatever. It's like people don't need to read about definitions, right? It's like people can find that elsewhere. So that was my sort of arrogance when it came to writing this book. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to just write an average book, because if I'm gonna write that, might as well not be writing it, because it'll be a fucking waste of my time, because I'll just be writing it and then editing it and proofing it and designing it and then printing it, costing me money and time and hard work and creativity. I'm just like, why would I put myself through that if I'm not writing something really refreshing and something that's really true to the Panda spirit, something that really is a companion book of this deck, something that is an extension of this deck, something that really builds on the world of this deck, something that really allows you to enter the spirit and the wisdom of this deck. You know, like I just really want to expand the panda archetype. I just really want to expand the stories from these pandas and tell people who these panda are and what they're about, and how you can really benefit from the panda archetype and how can you invite that energy into your life. And because I just feel like if you're writing a tarot book to appease people, or if you're trying to write a tarot book to kind of cater to the general public, if you're trying to please everyone, you're pleasing no one. It's just like, it's just gonna be a boring book, right? So this is a little rant. If you're a decorator and you're writing a book, just be as you and as authentic as you can. You want to just make that an extension of your deck, right? You don't want to write just another, like an average guidebook is like a page of another page of tarot definitions that people can just Google. I'm just like, sure, you can, like, maybe they can appreciate your writing or your interesting perspective on it or whatnot, but I personally think that's I'm a little bit arrogant when it comes to this. I'm just like, if it's the same thing, I don't want to read it. Like, you know, if it's just definitions, I don't want to read it, because I understand that there's like a lot of beginners out there, but in that same vein, it's like they can also just Google it. So that was my arrogance when it came to writing the Book of Pandas, and that gave me so much fucking stress. Ugh. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot in this video. I'm feeling a little bit sassy. I've been watching a couple of YouTubers who are a little sassy, so I'm kind of like, they're kind of like infecting me. So sorry, I've been swearing a lot, and if you're not used to it, but I've always been sort of swearing once in a while. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, yeah, that was like a little arrogant intention that I had with this book. And I don't want you to think that I wrote this book as in like, this is like the best book ever, I'm the best, everyone else sucks or whatever. That is not what I mean. What I mean is, I just like personally, okay, I just have extremely high standard for this book. I just really really wanted this book to be special. You know, I just really wanted to be unique, because when I concepted this deck, when I built a world around this deck, it was just like, there's no way I could convey that just through the art. I couldn't convey that just through the little guidebook. And I think instinctively I knew it was going to be a book. I just really needed to tell people who these panda are. I really need to tell people, like, what are all the intentions and meanings behind this deck. And it was more than just the artwork on the cards. It was just all the creative imagining that have gone on behind the scenes. And I really wanted to know that. I think that was one of the reasons why I was so committed to this book, even though when I first started writing this book, I didn't really know what I signed up for. I think towards the end of the book, I was like, this is what I signed up for. And even though it was stressful and overwhelming, it was worth it. So worth it. And when I was editing the book, I was just reading through what I wrote. Many times I was just crying, and I was just, I know this sounds kind of gross and cheesy. It's like, oh my God, I'm crying over my own writing. But it's like, when I wrote it, I just put so much heart into it. You know, I just really, it was all my creative, it was all my imagination. It was all my memories. It was like a lot of personal sentiments sort of told in this allegorical world of pandas. And it was everything that I am. And I just, you know, it's really from that book. I really wrote that book from my heart, from the heart. Like, that's what that book was. And, you know, I'm really grateful that people seem to love it because nobody has read it yet except for me. And I announced it on Kickstarter. I just sent everybody an update. I was like, so this is what the book turned out to be. It's not like a literary book. It's not like behind the scenes. It's really a book of panda stories. It's the stories about these pandas. It's about what they're up to, who they are, and what adventures that they've embarked on, how they met each other. You know, for example, my magician panda's name is Gandalf, and you know, I kind of just talk about some of the names in this book, some of the characters in this book, like Mousy Valentine and Hercules, the mouse and the panda from the strength card. I don't know if you can see. It's like those two guys right there, those two. And then their stories is in the book. And of course, in the book, there's also like journal prompts and reflection questions and lots of tarot spreads, like 30 of them, all related to the world of the pandas. And I just really created a world. Like, it's really a sort of semi-fictional, allegorical, fable-esque world that is the extension of this deck. That is the universe of this deck. Like, the Book of Pandas is a book about pandas. It's not a book about the panda tarot. It's not a book about what this card means or what you can do with this card. I think there's definitely aspects of that. It's like when you get this card, what kind of messages you could be getting from the pandas and what you can do to change your mindset or move forward in life, etc. There's definitely that. Like, you know, spirituality is a very integral part of me and also just an important part of creating this deck. It's like you want to impart these messages to people, right? So that was one of the intentions for the deck and the book. But yeah, that's sort of kind of my journey with the book. Is just it's really been an epic adventure, and I really got to know some of these pandas, and I got to name them, and I think I got to name some of them, but a lot of time, a couple of them, especially the ones that I remember really well, they told me their names. Okay, so like Victor, the chariot panda, Solomon, the hermit panda, Hank from Hane Panda, and Nova from the world. So some pandas, the ones I really remember, they told me their names. And I think some pandas are okay with not having names. But I just gave them names anyway. One of my favorite stories from Three of Pentacles, you're going to read about Choco, Micah, and Jasmine. They're like these bamboo contractors and they harvest bamboo and they work together. One of them has telekinesis and the other one has like chi blast, kung fu chi blast. Like, it's really awesome. So yeah, and yeah, I'm really in love with this book. And so yeah, that was my journey. I don't know if I'm going to write another full-length guidebook. I don't know, like, because I'm working on a second deck, right? I don't know if I'm going to write a big guidebook for that one, because that one is more about, like, my art. It was more, like, intuitively the pictures that I saw and the pictures that I created. So I don't know if I'm going to create an entire universe around that, because that one is like a different creative process. You know, the Panda is really, like, a world built, and I really deliberately and creatively imagined this universe in this kingdom of pandas. I'm even thinking about writing actual novels about these pandas, some of the panda characters in there. I think they'll make really great short stories, even novels. I don't know, that could happen in the future if people are interested. But yeah, I was saying earlier, I send people an update on Kickstarter, and I'm just so grateful that I honestly didn't expect. I just kind of wrote this book because I didn't intend to, like, I didn't want to write a book and then just like market it and sell it and make money off it. That wasn't really why I wrote the book. I wrote the book because I wanted people to know the world, to really walk the way of the panda and to enter the kingdom of pandas, to really, all the stories and characters and themes in my head, like, they just need to be known, you know. And I wrote the book. The book finished being like a storybook of pandas, and I told people about the book, kind of just summarized the book a little bit, told them that this is what the book is. And I cannot believe how many people just ended up saying, like, actually, I didn't pledge for the book, but I will actually add that to my pledge. And that was really surprising. I was like, maybe like 2 to 3 people might change their minds, but okay, yeah, I'm gonna get the book too. But actually, so many people PayPal me separately and decided to add that to their pledge, and I'm so grateful for that. And that was like a really nice surprise, and That actually made me think that maybe this book is really it means more than I think it means, you know? So I'm really glad that people are interested in, you know, wanting to know these pandas and wanting to get to know these pandas. And I hope, like, when people get these decks and when they're posting pictures, maybe they will hold up like the chariot card and they'll be like, "That's Victor. He saw me. He visited my spread yesterday," or something like that. And I'll just be like, anyway, I'm just so grateful. And this has been such an amazing experience. And thank you again if you're watching and you pledge for my Kickstarter from the bottom of my heart. You have no idea what you've done. And thank you for helping my dreams. Thank you for helping me manifest my dreams and dreams do come true. And yeah, that's all I want to say. And yeah, so anyways, I'm just so happy to be printing this book. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so hopefully, if you pledged for a book and if you pre-order a book, you would love this book as much as I do. And if you're a deck creator, I'm sorry it was like being a little shitty earlier. I was kind of trashing tarot books, but honestly though, if you're writing a book, you should just make it so unique. Like, just be you. Just be like 1000% unapologetically you. Like, otherwise, why are you writing a book, right? So don't cater to the general public. Make it your indie book, right? It's supposed to be indie. It's supposed to be niche. It's supposed to be something that people can't get from the mass market. It's like, don't write something that people can just Google, right? Just, you know, like if you're on the fence about like, should I put my more personal flair, or should I just like stick with like a basic general definition so people don't get lost if they're like a beginner? Go with personal flair. Always go with personal flair, because what I didn't anticipate was like, I just put pretty much all personality and panda quirkiness into the book. People responded so well because I think it's something that they've never read. It's something that they know they couldn't read anywhere else. It's really just a unique book about pandas. So if you're if you're creatively in that space, just go with your gut and just follow your heart and just write what you want to write, and don't cater to the general public. So, well, a little closing remark, but other than that, thank you again for watching. And oh my god, my bags are so bad and my voice is disappearing because I've been talking for almost an hour filming vlogs and stuff. You know, sometimes like the vlogs that I film, I don't even post. Either like I just get too busy, I don't have time to edit, or I just decide not to post because it was just like, after I got it on my system, I'm just like, oh, I don't really need to share this with the world anymore. But yeah, thank you for watching. And oh my god, my voice is really gone. And yeah, keep calm and panda on. And oh my god, just ignore that the wires in the back. Bye.